If you are able, please rise. Please continue to stand for the national anthem. Please be seated. The invocation today will be given by the Jewish chaplain and director of religious life, Rabbi Josh Jeffries.
Let us pray. Fountain of life and blessing, transcending time, space, and even name, as we mark this transformative moment in the lives of our graduates, bless us with a heightened awareness of your ever-unfolding presence. Infinite oneness as we gather from separate corners of campus and country, from around the city and around the globe, we come united in our diversity to celebrate these graduates and their accomplishments. Well of wisdom and discernment, we're grateful for those who have supported the class of 2026 on their journey, teachers and mentors, friends and loved ones. We uplift and honor the spirit of inquiry that has enriched their lives and pray that such knowledge, skills, and character strength may continue to nourish the lives of our community. Holy One who calls us to act justly, live righteously, and pursue peace, may we hold your teachings close to our heart. As these graduates enter the next phase of their lives, guide them to make every day count and grant them the courage and strength to persevere in service of the public good. Sustain their commitment to truth and justice and help them to walk that path with honesty and humility, compassion and grace. May they be partners in the work of building a world of justice and love. And may we all work towards a society that recognizes the divine spark within each of us, toward a future where we all act in a manner that upholds the inherent worth and dignity of all creation. Let it be your will, and let us together say, Amen.
Distinguished guests, colleagues, family, and friends, and class of 2026, I'm delighted to welcome you to the 154th ceremony awarding degrees to graduates of the School of Law as part of the 2026 commencement of the University of Richmond. It's an honor to be here with so many outstanding graduates and to celebrate their achievements. Graduates, we are so proud of your knowledge, skills, and commitment to justice, which will empower you to make significant contributions to our society. It's also a pleasure to welcome families and friends of our graduates. Thank you for providing the support and encouragement needed to reach this milestone. I know you're excited, as we are, to celebrate the culmination of many years of study. Finally, I want to express my deep appreciation to our staff and our faculty for their enduring contributions to our graduates' lives. Thank you for wholeheartedly embracing your roles as teachers, scholars, and mentors. I especially want to thank Wendy Perdue, who will be stepping down from her position as dean after 15 years of leading the school, but plans to return to the faculty after a sabbatical. Wendy, we are so grateful for your leadership, and we are so glad you will still be part of our community. Please join me in welcoming and thanking Dean Wendy Perdue. Graduates, we applaud your passion, determination, and grace. Through scholarly work with faculty and bonds shared with classmates, you fostered the deep sense of community that is a hallmark of Richmond Law. Thank you for all that you've contributed. Today, we recognize the individual and collective achievements of the class of 2026, and we look forward with great hope and anticipation for your continued accomplishments in the years ahead. I'm confident that your education has prepared you to make a difference in the world and the lives of others, especially to promote justice and the common good. Thank you all, and congratulations.
On behalf of the faculty and staff of the law school, I too welcome you to the degree ceremony for the class of 2026. To our graduates, you are part of a very special class that has demonstrated resilience, strength, and grace in the face of many challenges during your law school career. I'm proud to join you here today to celebrate your graduation. On a personal note, today's commencement carries particular special meaning for me. As President Hallock mentioned, this is my final year serving as Dean of Richmond Law. And the last year I speak to our graduates as Dean. And standing here today, I'm filled with gratitude. It has been an honor of my professional life to serve this community. In many ways, I feel as though I graduate with you today into the next phase of my career. So when you come back for your reunions and you hear me telling people that I'm a member of the class of 2026, I hope you will humor me. We now turn to our first speaker. In keeping with our tradition of active student involvement, we have the joy of hearing from Kayla Thomas. Before law school, Kayla earned a Bachelor of Arts from Virginia Commonwealth University, where she double majored in history and political science with a concentration in international relations. During her time at Richmond Law, Kayla served as an active member of the Negotiations and Alternative Dispute Resolution Board, where she was the finalist in their annual internal competition and the semifinalist in the Nelson Mandela International Negotiations Competition. Kayla is also an active moot court board member and has held multiple leadership roles, including Vice President of the Black Law Students Association, 2L and 3L class representatives for the Student Bar Association, and the National Director of Negotiations for the National Black Law Students Association. In addition, Kayla is an advanced student in the Intellectual Property and Transactional Law Clinic, a Law and Business Forum board member, and serves as an admissions ambassador, helping to support and guide prospective students. She's also president of the Real Estate Law Society, reflecting her strong interest in real estate law and her long-term goal of owning her own practice. I'm very pleased to introduce Kayla Thomas.
Hi, friends. Are you ready to become lawyers today? I think I heard an "it depends" out there, so I'd say we're ready. Congratulations, law class of 2026. You have overcome one of the greatest challenges in life, surviving law school. I am immensely proud of each and every one of you and so thankful that I get to walk across the stage with each of you today. It is an honor to stand before you to give our final farewell as we enter this honorable profession, and I truly cherish this moment and every moment before now that we've shared along the way. My heart is filled with gratitude, so I'll start by saying thank you for standing beside one another these past 3 years through the many trials and tribulations that come with being a law student. Thank you for being good people and good friends. We have shared many classes, lunch hours, job searches, and bar reviews together. No moment has been too small or forgettable. I won't say these were the best days of our lives because we all know what it took to make it to this stage today. But I will say, these past 3 years have shaped who we will become, and the people we've met will stay with us long after the casebooks close and the outlines are forgotten. Thank you to the faculty and staff who have helped shape us, for investing in us, for challenging us, and for pushing us beyond what we thought we were capable of, for teaching us how to truly think like lawyers. The lessons you've given us will extend far beyond the classroom, and fingers crossed that starts with the bar. The seeds you've planted will continue to grow throughout our careers. We are better because of you, and we are grateful. And to our parents, families, and friends, thank you. Thank you for the late night phone calls, the "you've got this" text, the patience when we missed birthdays, holidays, and moments that mattered. Thank you for being our support system, reality check, and a safe place to land on the tough days. We are so grateful to share this moment with you today, and we kindly ask for your continued support as we disappear one last time into the abyss that is bar prep for the next 3 months. But truly, thank you for being there and showing up for us when it mattered most. Now that those much-deserved thank yous are in order, Class of 2026, let's take a look back at the past 3 years. I've been reflecting on our adventure as law students, the moments that made the hard days go by faster and the good days feel like they could last forever. And as I sorted through all the memories, I kept coming back to my favorite childhood movie, Stand By Me. The movie follows 4 boys who take a journey the weekend before the first day of middle school. They come from different backgrounds and carry different burdens, but they find something profound in each other: friendship, understanding, and a shared sense that we are on the precipice of something bigger than themselves. Over the course of their journey, they realize that life will soon pull them in different directions, and they learn more about themselves than they set out to discover. They learn about each other's hardships, failures, and insecurities, their fears of the futures and uncertainties. But their greatest discovery comes in learning they could choose their own path in life, that they were not bound to the expectations placed on them by society. By the end of the movie, they all say their goodbyes knowing things will never quite be the same, but with the treasure of memories from their adventure that could never be forgotten. While I love this entire coming-of-age journey, it's the movie's final quote that has always stuck with me. I never had any friends later on like the ones I had when I was 12. Does anyone? Law school, I think, is a lot like that coming-of-age journey. I would argue that you'll never have friends like the ones we've made here. We met at the most uncertain, overwhelming, and transformative time in our lives. We walked into 1L not knowing what we were doing, where we were going, or if we even belonged here at all. And somehow, we figured it out together. At times, it felt as though the entire world existed within the walls of Richmond Law. Deadlines replaced dates, outlines replaced conversations, and 3 years passed in what feels like a blur. It's not until you take a step back that you realize life has been roaring along outside of these walls the whole time. But in those moments, when life came knocking with new challenges and hardships, it was all of you who showed up for each other to remind us we are never alone. You all showed up for me when both of my parents were diagnosed with cancer during our 1L. I didn't know how to navigate being both a law student and dependable daughter at once. I didn't want to go to class because I wanted to be home with my parents. But it was classmates who would share notes, friends who would check in, and professors who would share advice about how to get through this, that I knew I was going to make it through. And if it wasn't for each and every one of you's love and support I received from classmates, professors, and the entire Richmond Law community, I don't think I'd be standing here today. For that, I'm eternally grateful. We built a community in the midst of uncertainty, unprecedented times, and a new legal landscape. We all came from different places and different backgrounds, and yet we have forged connections that will last a lifetime. We managed to break down the walls of our assigned sections, support each other instead of comparing, and celebrate each other's wins even when the curve made us feel defeated. We showed up for each other again and again. And along the way, we created memories that will forever bond us. Who knew we'd be graced with Professor Harbach singing her love with full faith and credit over us, or that the sounds of Professor Gibson opening a crisp Diet Pepsi's would ring through the law school every day, or that the most fierce competition and greatest battle of our lives would be Richmond Law flag football. We had bar reviews where we were reminded that lawyers are real people too. RWL trivia nights where the brilliant minds of students and professors merged to provide us with every fact concerning 90s girl bands, road trips to Charlottesville for softball, shared hunts for free lunch during the lunch hour, and a snowmageddon we can now tell our kids about how we drove to law school in a blizzard. We have done the hard work and managed to have a great deal of fun along the way. And we too are on the precipice of something great. The start of our careers will shape the lives we live, the impacts we make, and the roles we play in bettering both the profession and society. We have an opportunity to choose our own path forward, to step into this profession not just as participants, but as change makers. To advocate for what is right, even when it's hard. To challenge laws that may fall short and to create new ones that move society forward. To defend our clients with unwavering dedication and compassion. To be confident in trying something new and courageous in standing for our beliefs. As we've learned, the law is not black and white, and it is our job to wade through the gray to carry it forward. And so, class of 2026, like the boys in Stand By Me, we are now headed in different directions, whether it's public service, law firms, businesses, or a path that doesn't quite exist yet. We are about to embark on our individual journeys and find success in our own endeavors. However, we have the special privilege of sharing this experience, this community, and this connection forever. Even as time and circumstance carry us apart, this profession will always find a way to reunite us. Whether it's in the courtroom, over the negotiation table, or any place the law has taken you, we will always be connected. That's just how a spider web works. So, class of 2026, I urge you to stand by your morals, stand by your values, stand by your friends and your family, and to stand by your profession. Because it's true, you'll never have friends like the ones you met at law school, and it's not something to mourn, but rather cherish and carry with you. We have seen each other at the most uncertain, stressed, and exhausted times, and have managed to stand by one another anyway. No matter where life takes us, we will always be the Richmond Law class of 2026, and here for one another. Congratulations, Spiders.
Thank you, Kayla, for sharing your reflections. Each year, the students from the graduating class also select a member of the faculty to speak to them at commencement. This year's faculty speaker is Professor Cassie Powell. Professor Powell is a member of the Richmond Law class of 2016. She joined the faculty in 2024 as the inaugural director of the law school's new Access to Justice Clinic, which advances the rights of Virginians with limited income through civil litigation services. Her passion for social justice law is matched only by her desire to build the confidence of young lawyers. Prior to joining the faculty, Professor Powell was the managing attorney for Virginia's Legal Aid Society's Suffolk office, where she led a team of legal professionals in serving families and individuals with limited incomes in a broad range of civil legal areas, including housing, public benefits, domestic violence, family and education law. She previously worked as an attorney with the Legal Aid Justice Center's Youth Justice Program, focusing on education and civil rights law. She earned her dual law degree and Masters of Social Work degrees from Richmond Law and Virginia Commonwealth University. A true embodiment of the meaning of service, Professor Powell received the Professor Nina R. Keston Service Award upon graduating from law school, and the President's Award for Service to the Community as an undergraduate at William & Mary. This past winter, she was recognized as one of Virginia Business Magazine's Legal Elite in the category of Legal and Pro Bono Services. It gives me great pleasure to introduce my colleague, Professor Cassie Powell.
Thank you so much, Dean Perdue, for that kind introduction. I'm going to try not to cry. It's going to be really difficult. Richmond Law, class of 2026, thank you so much for nominating me to be your faculty speaker. I have to say that when I first received the notice that I was selected as faculty speaker, I thought it was a mistake. I thought that there must be some other small and intimate graduation ceremony that I, as a new professor, had yet to be invited to and was just now becoming privy to. Nope. I then had to figure out what to say. Everyone that I asked said that it was very important that I be funny. So I tried to write some of what I thought were very clever lawyer jokes, but then when I read them to my grumpy but loving husband, he said that I wasn't funny in that way and I shouldn't even try to be. But I have to be funny, I said. This is very important. He said, you should just be yourself. That will make them laugh. But this is a very formal ceremony, I said. But they picked you, didn't they? Coincidentally, one of the themes of my speech is to be yourself. And so here I am modeling that last lesson for you as your professor. But truly, I am so honored to be here. It is a gift and a true joy to be the last professor to address you as a class and to celebrate you on the final step in your law school journey. I, just like you will be in a few minutes, am a graduate of Richmond Law. Almost exactly 10 years ago to the day, in May of 2016, I sat where you are now with my family and friends and walked across the stage to accept my law degree under the supervision of Dean Perdue. I remember feeling excitement, relief that I had done it, fear of leaving my wonderful mentors and friends, and anxiety about my next steps. Would I be enough to pass the bar, be an attorney, and argue on my own in court? I was scared of disappointing those around me, but I was also hopeful, inspired, sometimes confident, and committed to the path that I had chosen. I came to law school absolutely dedicated to advocating for people experiencing poverty, a course which has defined my entire career. After my clerkship, I started working at a legal aid office representing people in housing, public benefits, and family law matters. I immediately loved my job and my clients. I loved getting to know my clients and hearing their stories and helping them solve their problems and address barriers that were hurting them and their families. I still remember my very first trial. It was my first case in court without the wise and comforting presence of my clinic professor, Julie McConnell, by my side, and I was so nervous that I felt faint, kind of like right now. My client was an elderly and disabled woman who had lived in her subsidized apartment for over 20 years. She was facing an eviction because her son had stayed with her after he lost his housing for a short period of time, which violated her apartment's guest policies. She was not only at risk of losing her housing, but also the subsidy that helped pay her rent. I remember preparing extensively for the trial. I discussed everything with my client. I readied my exhibits. I went over my arguments. I was absolutely terrified of making a mistake and losing my client her housing. What's more, the opposing counsel was a very experienced litigator from a large law firm who had argued before the Virginia Supreme Court. But he had not gone to Richmond Law. When we won, despite my nervous beginning, I remember feeling a sense of incredible satisfaction. I had used, for the first time on my own, my skills and legal training to advocate for something that would make a true difference in someone's life. This sense of accomplishment and satisfaction is something that you too will feel as you start your practice, and it is something that I see my students experience as they work on their cases in the Access to Justice Clinic. As a clinical professor, I have the best job. I have the privilege of getting to spend lots of time with my fantastic students, or forcing them to spend time with me. We meet one-on-one to go over their cases, but we also talk about their hopes, their dreams, their anxieties, and the difficulties of merging their personal and professional identities. All of my students are so wonderful and so different. Some come from privilege with extensive support networks, while many others have faced challenges with a resilience that I can't even imagine. My students also have different practice styles. Some are more aggressive in the courtroom. Many are worried about being too nice. Others are still finding out what their style is. But despite their differences, all of my students are nervous about entering practice and still trying to figure out exactly who they are and how to be an attorney. It is in the effort of reassuring my students and seeing them in all of their incredible uniqueness that I find my job most rewarding. You are amazing. I want to end by giving you a little advice. As you end your law school journey and take your next steps, I encourage you to do 3 things which have served me well. First, be genuinely curious about your clients and your colleagues. Everyone loves it when you show interest in who they are without judgment. Second, be aware of the power that you have as an attorney. You are entering a profession that, for better or for worse, has a level of prestige that our society attaches to it, and you must be deeply humble and cautious about how you exercise it and use it to benefit those with less power. Finally, I urge you to be yourself. You are enough for all that you hope to accomplish. This does not mean that you will be perfect or that you won't change. I tell my students about my mistakes in practice and how I once tried to be more aggressive before discovering that it just wasn't authentic to me. I show my students who I am in the hope that they will be comfortable being who they are. In turn, as I get to know them, I see how absolutely strong, compassionate, and wonderful all of them are. It is you, my incredible students, by being exactly true to yourselves, who give me hope and inspiration for the future. Congratulations, class of 2026. I am so proud of you.
Thank you, Professor Powell, for your insights and your contributions to the law school. Your impact on our students and our community is deeply valued. Our next speaker has been an active member of the Richmond Law community since she began as a 1L in 1978. Since then, she has served the university in so many ways, including as a trustee and currently as a trusted advisor serving on the Richmond Law Advisory Board. Please join me in welcoming Janice Moore, who will introduce our commencement speaker.
Thank you, Dean Perdue. On behalf of the Richmond Law Advisory Board and you, our alumni, near and far, I'm pleased to welcome you as our newest alumni. Your achievements as students have made Richmond Law stronger, and as graduates, you'll continue to uplift the school through your work, your leadership, and your service. We're so very proud of you and are cheering you on every step of the way. I encourage you to stay involved in the Spider Network as you move forward. Connect with your fellow alums, support each other, and stay engaged with Richmond Law. The more you give to this community, the more it will give back to you. My experience here was very similar to Kayla's. It is not unusual at all to experience some kind of traumatic event in your family or in your personal life. But your fellow students will pull you through. And the faculty at the law school, and the dean, and the administration, and everyone in that law school building is always pulling for you. It's like a big hug, and I encourage you to join in it. 45 years ago, I was sitting where, well, we didn't have our graduation here, it was in a different place. But I was sitting to be receiving my diploma. And I'm so honored to be here again today to welcome you into the fold of the spider web as alums. I want to congratulate you on this tremendous accomplishment. And now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our final speaker today, the Honorable Roger L. Gregory, the first African American to hold a seat on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit. Judge Gregory was appointed to the federal bench by President Bill Clinton in December 2000, renominated by President George W. Bush, and then confirmed by the Senate in 2001. He became Chief Judge in 2016 and served a 7-year term through July 2023. Judge Gregory began his legal career with the Detroit law firm Butzel, Long, Gust, Klein, and Benzile before becoming an associate with Hutton & Williams in Richmond. I was also an associate at the same time, and we remember each other from then. In 1982, he left the firm and co-founded the law firm Wilder & Gregory with L. Douglas Wilder, and became managing partner upon Wilder's election as governor of Virginia. A native of Petersburg, Virginia, Judge Gregory graduated from Virginia State University and earned his law degree from the University of Michigan Law School. He holds honorary degrees from Virginia Union, Virginia State, Virginia Commonwealth, Widener, and American universities, as well as St. Paul's College. Judge Gregory is trustee emeritus for the University of Richmond Board of Trustees, where we also served together, and received the School of Law's William Green Award for Professional Excellence in 2010, where I was pleased to attend that ceremony as well. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Roger L. Gregory.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me? This is a challenge because I have a Faulknerian stream of conscience. So to give my speech and write it well in advance is difficult. So you better listen to me if you can, because that prompter may not accurately record what I am saying. But I'm going to keep to the script again, Mr. President. I will. Respectfully, of course, I acknowledge esteemed President, Provost, and the platform dignitaries, and to the Dean Perdue. Thank you for your many years of service, excellent leadership to the law school, and extending to me this opportunity to address you today. And if I'm partial to my left, there's a reason, because the graduates are here, but it's to all of you. I want to recognize the esteemed law faculty who skillfully held the lamp of the Socratic craft to light your path through the prickly bramble bushes. And I'm certain you still remember that 1L journey, don't you? I also extend my greetings to the family, friends, and fans of the graduates. To the class of 2026, I say congratulations. We celebrate your marvelous achievements. You've given time, talent, toil, and perhaps tears in earning your law degree. And I say especially to those of you who have never, or at least who will never admit to having shed tears in this effort, that your family will share tears of joy today. Parents can remember the day you first scrawled your cries across the air. They heard them, and they understood them. Now, as lawyers, your eloquent cries of advocacy will resound as loud as the rolling seas. Your practice of law must always adhere to the highest professional standards of virtue, vigor, and valor. Whether you're representing the powerful or the powerless, the rich or the poor, the popular or the scorned. Lincoln said that a lawyer's sole stock in trade is his time, and it should be her as well, time and advice. It is said that the quality of your time is best demonstrated by your ability to cut to the essence of the legal concepts, problems, and disputes. When you talk about time, an unknown author said this about time. For those who fear, time is too swift. For those who wait, time is too slow. For those who grieve, time is too long. For those who rejoice, time is too short. But for those who love, time is eternity. This is your time. I submit that the well-being of the legal profession lies in the priorities that you set and the course that you take. I hope your professional journey will embrace an agape love and respect for all of humanity. Do not fall prey to what Bobby Kennedy called the poverty of satisfaction, and that's being content to live a life without purpose or dignity. I hope for you the privilege of practicing law will not become a mere occupation. Oh no, it's much more. It will require a good measure of personal humility, a genuine empathy for the nuances of the human experience. You must seek to understand before you speak to be understood. I always consider it to be a high honor to stand in the well and represent the person sitting in the dock. You will be privileged to represent individuals, governments, and corporations, resolving their most vexing problems and wretched predicaments. It is and should always remain for you a noble endeavor. Today, subject to examination and licensing, of course, you become members of an aristocracy. Oh yes, you are now aristocrats, so relish it. But not by right of birth. It is a legal aristocracy that Alexis de Tocqueville studied during his visit to America in 1831 and wrote about in his epic work, Democracy in America. Tocqueville said that lawyers constituted an American aristocracy. He noted lawyers' specialized knowledge of law gives them a rank in society and makes them somewhat of a privileged intellectual class. He said almost every issue or question that arises in our country will eventually be resolved by the legal system. This is still true. Over the last 25 years of me being on the United States Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit, I've heard many cases and decided many cases of significant societal, governmental, and commercial consequence. And lawyers wrote the briefs and presented the arguments in every one. Tocqueville further said that lawyers have great influence over the governed and government. When the American people let themselves get intoxicated by their passions and get carried away by their ideas, lawyers apply some kind of invisible brake, if you will, and slows them down and halts them and directs them in their passions to the rule of law. What an awesome task. He made this poignant conclusion about our country. Listen, he said, America's greatness does not lie in it being more enlightened than other nations, but in the ability to repair its faults. And he believed that lawyers were the strongest barriers against the faults of democracy. I submit to you today that the health of our democracy depends on lawyers retaining that role of being the best barriers against the faults of democracy. It is not just the height of our dedication to the rule of law, but also the depth of our determination to do equal justice that has made the difference in this nation's struggle to live up to its founding principles, that all men and women are created equal. Class of 2026, you have an additional distinction because you're graduating in the year that our nation will be celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. Therefore, I thought it would be altogether fitting and proper to reflect briefly on the lawyer's role in drafting an important but often overlooked section of the Declaration of Independence. Overlooked. Most people are familiar with Jefferson's immortal words that rightfully continue to be cherished, and you will hear reverberated throughout the celebrations this year of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among them these being life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But there is a second section that I wish to bring to your attention, and you can read it in detail for yourself. But Jefferson artfully sets up the importance and necessity of the second section by the first sentence of the Declaration, when he says, when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with one another, and to assume among the powers of earth the separate and equal stations to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. Here comes the hook. Then he says, there's a requirement that having a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare causes which impel them to the separation. That's the hook to the second part. Because see, Jefferson wanted the world to know, not just Britain, but more important, the world to know that this document was not some spontaneous reaction of a lawless and thoughtless ruffians. Instead, it was a reasoned assertion of their rights and liberties grounded in natural law. So following the accusations against the King of Great Britain in the first section, he began this section by saying this, following it, the lawyer's job here. He wanted to prove, he said, to prove, let facts be submitted to a candid world. I love that phrase, a candid world, impartial, a fair world. Listen to the facts, not just the conclusions of my assertions. You'll get that on the way home. And it's not on the screen. In Suzanne Harmon Munson's book, First in Law, First in Leadership, William and Mary, she relates the significant contribution of George Wythe, who taught Thomas Jefferson and John Marshall. His significant contribution to the legal strategy of the Declaration of Independence. She writes, in addition to being a signer, Wythe helped organize the facts that Jefferson wanted to prove that's listed there. He supported the grievances against King George III. He sent letters to governors of the colonies, and he sought documentation of the English atrocities. Understanding, this is my favorite part, understanding as an experienced attorney that the Declaration was to be fledgling America's legal brief before the court of the world opinion. Awesome. So when you write Declaration of Opinion, you tell your friends, we're writing the brief of a fledgling America and its justification to the world. That's awesome. Lawyers provided a large measure of the intellectual groundwork of America's Declaration of Independence. This was done at the risk of being charged with treason against the British Crown and also the risk of being sentenced to death. You see, it required these lawyers to add to reason the quality of courage. At times, you will need to muster the courage to advocate zealously for a just cause. If so, you must do so and rise to the occasion without fear or favor, being mindful, however, that you are an officer of the court and a guardian of the rule of law. I urge you to follow Doris Scary, a playwright, American playwright. Behave as citizens not only of your profession, but of the full world you live in. So be indignant with injustice. Be gracious with success. Be courageous with failure. be patient with opportunity, and be resolute with faith and honor. President Kennedy, in his remarks supporting the desire that America be the first on the moon. You remember, you don't remember, see, I'm old. But he said that America will be the land of man on the moon before the end of the decade, and he was right. And in speaking, he referred to O'Connor, an English writer, and he tells in one of his stories of his books, he said, as a boy, he and his friends would make their way across the countryside, and when they came to an orchard wall that seemed too high and too doubtful to try and too difficult to permit their journey to continue, they took off their hats and tossed them over the wall, and then they had no choice but to follow. What would be your cap? What would be so important to you that when you get to a wall it's too high, too difficult? What will give you the faith and hope to toss that over the wall, and then you will have no choice but to follow? I submit that until you find that, walls will contain you. You have to have the faith to do that. And as I close, I paraphrase Brian Stevenson. So don't look on the screen, just listen. He said, he's director of the Equal Justice Initiative. Paraphrasing, regrettably, when it comes to protecting the rights of rejected and despised people, justice is a constant struggle. But wonderfully, the balance of this struggle turns not on the fear and skepticism of those who doubt the power of justice, but on the hope and spirit of those who believe. That is the future of American democracy. That has been the role that de Tocqueville said about lawyers. So today I encourage you to muster the hope and faith. Toss your cap over the orchard wall, and then the courage to follow them, because the fruits of justice and equality lie just on the other side. God bless your journey.
Thank you, Judge Gregory, for your inspiring observations. In April, we held the 4th annual award ceremony to recognize and celebrate our graduates who have received special honors and awards. Award recipients, as well as descriptions of the awards, can be found inside your program. At this time, would those graduates who received an award please stand and be recognized? I welcome you. Yes. You may be seated.
Graduation is a very special occasion. It's an opportunity to recognize those who have completed the requirements of our faculty and fulfilled the expectations of our entire university community. Our warm congratulations to all members of the University of Richmond School of Law, class of 2026. I now call on Provost Dr. Joan Saab.
Will the graduating class please rise if you are able? President Hallock, on behalf of the faculty of the University of Richmond School of Law, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees and upon the faculty's recommendation of completed requirements, I confer upon you the degree of Juris Doctor of the University of Richmond with all of the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining thereto.
Will the graduating class please come forward to receive your diplomas?
We now recognize the candidates for the Juris Doctorate degree for May 2026. Arjun Ajmani. Kenneth Cooper Alexander II. Joshua Michael Apsey. Sarah Catherine Aurora. Alexis Ann Balance. Henry Peyton Barber. Michael Alexander Bartz. Josiane Berta DeRucci. Anna Grace Thacker Bickley. Madison Louise Bjork. Jeffrey Patrick Boyd, Jr. Tanner Reese Brooks. James Wesley Campbell II. Isabel Marie Carvalho. Ashley Vanessa Chase. Annabelle Hannah Chung. Alexa Angela Sinkyu. Patrick M. Civitella. Grace Michelle Condello. Clara Lynn Cooper. Emmett Copeland. James Christopher Coulter. Skylie Mae Cox. Robert Joseph Coyle II. Jenna Nicole Crumley. Madison Marie Daub. Jessica Ann Deutsch. Emily Collins Downey. Bradford Stone Dudley. Ronald Lee Ecker III. Amanda Lee Eggert. Sarah Virginia Elam. Nicholas Elitis. Xiaojing Fun. Nadia Brogan Farashahi. Samantha Swan Farpour. Cassandra Renee Fair. Lane Ryder Fox. Rebecca M. Furman. Brooke Caroline Gerber. Inez Mafalda Gomez de Albuquerque. Spencer A. Hamilton. Shelby Ray Hampton. Sarah Harker. Connor Logan Harper. Logan Elizabeth Harrell. Lene Michelle Harris. Sarah Hassan. Paige Emily Hathaway. Rebecca Faith Herzog. Brooke A. Hoppy. Cameron Wyatt Hoyle. Derek Scott Hubbard. Caitlin Ashley Hudson. Jessica Tao Quinn. Harry N. Jarvis. Caleb Michael Jennings. Fakira Diamond Johnson. Sally Farr Johnson. E. Wyatt Jones. Julia Marie Katz. Colin Tyler Kennedy. Lila Elizabeth Kennedy. Sabika Hussein Khan. Jeffrey Michael Kidwell. Mary Elizabeth Klein. Elizabeth Portia Koptish. Elizabeth P. Laro. Evan Lees. Bo Lee. Kadapriya S. Lindo. Anya M. Lowndes. Luke J. Lucas. Mason Charles Martin. Cecilia Martinez Larumbe. Sean Allen Maddox. Caroline Alden McBride. Brianna F. McCall. Emma Laverna McGovern. Annalise N. McInnes. Charity I. Modi. Chelsea Marie de la Cruz Mojica. Reagan M. Mona. Allison Marie Mora. Ashlyn Renee Murphy. Sylvia Allison Murray. Merrickston Nicholson. Elise Caroline Naratsky. Oyin Consola Omotolani Ogunlaha. John Donato Peden. Claire Madison Pitzer. Jackson William Pope. Ana Luisa F. Homos. Trevor Logan Michael Reynolds. Jennifer Lynn Rigney. Francis Scout Ripley. Alyssa Catherine Ritchie. Omar Ali Sadiq. Andrew Salo. Emma Grace Sauer. Mia Anjali Saxena. Donovan Vincent Spiroli. Garrett Thomas Schneider. Madison Lynn Schwartz. Aurangzeb Mansoor Sheikh. Nicholas Charles Schrabel. Camila Stefania Siddiqui. Hillary Simpson. Catherine Claire Auger Smith. Logan R. Smith. Hannah Smith. Olivia Lindsay Snakerd. Jasmine Yvette Straight. Sarah Nicole Stewart. Micah Ann Talabisca. Anne Elizabeth Teestrake. Kayla Azure Thomas. Molly Michelle Turzin. Daniel Goys von Sosten. Kaylin Michelle Wallace. Elin Wong. Reagan Elizabeth White. Justin Bryce Wiley. Laurel Michaela Wilkerson. Paris Yasmin Williams. Brian Matthew Wilmans. Derek Craig Walter. Matthew Kinley Wright. Hung Xiang. Zakaria Yakubu. John Wayne Yates. The following candidates are receiving their degrees today from various family members who are alumni or parents of the University of Richmond. Will those individuals please join your graduate at this time? Victoria W. Lonston, presented by her sister, Abigail Lonston, Richmond Law, class of 2023. And Joseph Michael Miners, presented by his grandmother, Janice Moore.
Graduates and guests, please join me in saluting the graduating class of 2026. Let me briefly address the class. Let me briefly address the class of 2026. Each of you has worked very hard for this accomplishment, but you did not do so alone. You stood on the shoulders of parents and grandparents, spouses and partners, siblings and friends. I would therefore like to ask the class of 2026 to rise if you were able and acknowledge all of those people who did so much to get you here. This concludes the graduation ceremony. Will the mace bearer please come and retrieve the mace? Please remain seated for the recessional. Our new graduates will proceed to the reception outside on the ambulatory level of the building. Please join your graduate there. Ushers will direct you. Thank you and good afternoon.